hard to do, man. When you're out there, against guys who are 400, 350 pounds, 6'6", and can run just as fast as you can.
I was a 110-pound football player in high school, and I got off. When you hit somebody, there was something about that feeling that's hard to control. I mean, right? Even if I got hit, I'd be like, yes, that's what we're here for. We're here to hit each other, whatever. Did you play sports? Well, I don't know if we talked about this.
I did play sports. I played basketball and a little bit of football. Okay. Basketball, clearly when I was smaller, skinnier. Good Lord, I missed that fast metabolism. You could eat a whole pizza before the game. But yeah, basketball was my go-to. And a little bit of golf. Golf as well.
Right on.
I can't do it as much as I used to because my back's all sorts of busted up. But man,
golf that plays a world of hurt on your back. I've got friends who used to love to play golf, and his like every time we'll talk about it. And I play once a year with some friends from high school, and even this guy, like, I can't even do it once a year anymore. It's like just too much. Like, I'll be done the first day if I get out there.
Golf is an amazing sport. It's fun. It offers something for everybody, man. Like, if you just want to drink and drive the golf cart, you can do that. If you just like being outside and just seeing some amazing scenery,
3 hours on a great day of weather. Golf is. I mean, it can be. People say, "How could you play golf? It's so boring." It's like man. It's actually pretty cool if you're out there with a buddy. Yeah. And it's a great day and it's nice out and you don't care as much about like whacking the ball into the forest because that's what you're going to do. Then appreciate that. You love that.
Clubhouse food. Like you can't beat it, man. Like, honestly, you get a nice little steak at the end of the day. You laugh, you have a couple drinks.
Yep.
You scurry on home and then you pass out and then you ice your back.
You pass out on the giant slab of ice you have laid out. Right. Like, you're on the way home. You got the slab of ice prepared. Cool, because I'm 5 minutes away. I gotta lay down.
I'm 5 ticks away. This is bad. This is really bad. I shouldn't have done
it. Golf is fun in that again. I play once a year.
Yeah, maybe
twice if something comes up. But literally, and on any given shot, I could hit it as well as a professional. Like I've hit an approach shot and hit a birdie. It's like it's like this. There's not many sports where you could say that, where you can say, there's no way I'm going to go out and return a serve from Jokic. Or there's no way I'm going to slam LeBron. Right? I'm not going to take a hit from Max Crosby or
We're not doing that.
This ain't happening. But I can hit a golf shot. I can make a putt. I can make a 30-yard putt.
We're not doing that, man. Like soccer, look at soccer. Clearly because my wife is from South America. She got me into it.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my first real soccer game and I was like, I can't be that bad, right? These guys just kicking the ball. They're small guys. To see somebody get the shins knocked off, the ball's flying at them at 1,000 miles an hour. Yep. They're bouncing it off their heads. They're pushing and shoving while they're running. I'm like, what in the world is with these people? This is rough, man. Like, sports are fun, but
that's why golf fools you. You feel like you can be really good at this, but then you always fail.
And you come back for it.
It's fun. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks again for doing this again.
Awesome.
Why don't you go ahead quickly and introduce yourself? Appreciate having you on, but I'll let you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll jump into all the repeat topics we're going to talk about.
Hey, it's awesome, man. Hey, I'm Will McLendon. I am a Microsoft Business Applications MVP. Been in technology for about 25 years now, so just happy to be here. Do a lot with the community, and I love our group. I really do. We have the best community in the world. I'll stand on that. So
we appreciate you being here and sharing your story. And about Power Platform, that's where you live. That's something just new but not new. I mean, it's scratching its way out from its OG roots as Power BI, all the way through to where it is now and this giant force in our industry.
Right.
Talk about what you do in Power Platform real quickly, and then we can kind of get into maybe some tips for folks that want to get into it.
Oh, yeah. So I started in customer service, D365 customer service, actually as an admin, then went into customer service and then went into field service. Because of some of the gaps that were present in field service, I started working with the Power Platform. So Being able to make the shift over into the Power Platform was natural because a lot of the things that were in field service were, we worked with on the Power Platform. So Power Pages or portals back then, as we like to call it, Power Automate, when that hit the scene, leveraged it heavily with connected field service into IoT Hub or Central rather into connected field service, So a lot of these offerings we were already familiar with. And then when we started building these enterprise apps, it just made a bit more sense. So for me, I am a bit of a generalist / specialist, right?
Yeah.
I have worked with Power Pages. I have done several implementations. I know too much about Power Automate. I'm not like my buddy Troy Taylor, who is an addict for connectors.
Yeah.
I tease him because I call him Captain Connector. So shout out to Troy.
But I got connectors.
Yeah, he really, Troy has them all. Troy's like, sprinkle connector on it. But yeah, so I've done it all with Power Automate and model driven apps. Those are our bread and butter. And so built some fun Canvas apps. But I prefer to stay more or less on the Power Page, model driven, pro code development piece area versus staying in that Canvas app space. So yeah.
And just to quick, model driven apps are a little bit more heavy lifting. Canvas apps are kind of the drag and drop ish mentality, just to kind of that high level differentiator. Because people see those terms out there, and maybe folks listening might not know the difference, but that's kind of the basic high level. Yeah,
absolutely. There's some elements to Canvas apps with the actual development process itself that I just, from a UI perspective, I don't have the imagination that a lot of these new guys come in with. And they are just crushing it. So I have no problem saying, hey, here's how we do it from a technical perspective. I'm gonna push it off to someone who's a bit more artistic
love it.
than I am. So love it, man.
And how is AI affecting it? So, a lot of talk and, I went through the Power Up course last year. And they, a lot of talk about it. Yeah, if you want to do it the old fashioned way, you grab a formula, do a thing, or just tell AI what you want. I want a form that has 3 text fields that allows me to input name, first name, last name, email, and has a button to click, and boom. How from a person who's using it, how often are you using AI, and how helpful is it?
All right, so I use AI every day. And if you're not, you need to catch up, right? Whether it's generative, whether it's Copilot, forget, there's some piece of it that we have to leverage because most of us are so heavily utilized. You kind of need that friend or that source to help you out. Before, our primary search mechanisms were Stack Overflow, Google. Now, you can get your information put to you in the right way without having to do all this extra searching. So it enables me, it helps me out. What Microsoft has done a great job is also enabling the experience for the makers.
Okay.
That's not word salad. It is here. I remember conceptually talking about this with a few friends back in 2018. If we'll ever get to this point where you can put in a description and the computer just boop makes out an entity, or boop makes the relationships for the right tables, right? We thought about this and we said, oh man, we're years away from that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was quick, right?
Yeah.
And so our maker,
the AI popped out, was it 2023?
Yeah.
Beginning of 2023 when ChatGTP started to hey, and people were like the first wave of everybody was making funny, songs parodies about, hey, write me a rap song in the form of Eminem about CE, to how fast that turned to serious stuff. Like you said, it was within a month, it was already iterating into common use.
We said it was funny. We were at MVP Summit. They kind of show us some of the new stuff that's under NDA, but this stuff is no longer under NDA. And we chuckle. We were like, well, you guys got halfway there. It doesn't make relationships yet. And you know what? They looked at us and said, just wait.
Yeah.
And hey, they hit the ball at the park. Very good. And we also specialize in helping people, go from beginner into that expert space or novice into beginner. This makes it so much easier. And so what we're finding now is our consultants or our associates, even myself, we have to switch the strategy from, hey, we can build tables and, help you normalize some of your data, to, hey, how can we build an application that adds real value to your organization? So I love the shift. I love where it's at in the market. I think AI is here. It's going to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent, not just for AI, but automation.
Yeah.
Automation is, there's a distinct difference between the two, but we're going to see a big uptick in
we're in a fast, crawl, walk, run stage where you should be crawling where you're crawling and walking where you're walking and ready to run full force when you know it's ready. Let me ask you this question. What's your feeling? Because, you and I grew up, like you said, you're 25 years in, I'm the same. So we've been doing this a while back in the olden days where we had to look things up in the actual physical encyclopedia or that, little Encarta disc you got with your Windows 95,
Right.
If you got that. But so I've heard, talk around AI, like, so if I'm new, like I'm a kid, I'm just coming up and all I know now is AI, is there benefit for them to struggle a bit before they jump into just using AI only? Or do you say, hey, no, jump right in and only use AI? Like I've seen some good, positive, constructive debate and conversation around, is there a good mix of like, okay, kid, you got to struggle for at least, a month on finding out how to do this, and then you'll understand how to use AI better, or no, just jump right in and start learning how to prompt.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. And here's where it is. I just had this conversation this morning at the barbershop. It's just funny things we talk about, but this actually came up, and the reality is your AI is only as good as its prompt. I mean, it could have an encyclopedia's worth of knowledge, but if your prompt is garbage, then your output's generally going to be garbage. And so prompt engineering is definitely going to be a skill set, just like, it was for search. We wanted to find something in search engines. We knew what to put in, what to type to get really good at it. Right. So prompt engineering is a skill. On top of that, for these kids that are coming into it, definitely learn it, but also learn some foundational principles that the technology area that you want to be the expert in. So, there was an argument that, we're not going to need developers. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
We went from no code, low code to quickly adding, but there's pro code.
Right. And so
you still need a professional sometimes, to help you. Yeah.
You are, right? So
and
AI,
no code, the low code folks are professionals too at some point. You're getting yourself there. Yeah.
Right. So like some of these folks are going to be generating, you can have AI create some functions for you, let's say some JavaScript, and you're like, oh, this is going to work, but you didn't look at it and review it, and there's no QA, there's no real code review. And so this is where learning some of the principles is really going to help a lot of these young folks out. So if you wanted to be an expert in an area, cool, learn some baseline principles, use AI to help accelerate your growth. I'm not saying step away from it altogether, but use it to accelerate your growth, and you'll be good to go, because that's Microsoft's stance on it. They're not saying we're replacing jobs, we're enabling people. And that's really what AI is going to be great at.
I think you made a really astute point in there, and it's something I hadn't thought of, and I'm glad you brought it up, because when it comes down to the argument of, they should have to struggle and learn the old fashioned way, but their struggle is different than ours. Their struggle is, hey, if you want to do this right, you've got to learn prompt engineering. That's your struggle.
Yeah.
Your struggle is just open up AI and you're going to get a job and start working and creating cool stuff. You still got to do it well, like Will does. You got to struggle through the book learning and all that consumption of material the way he did it, or the way our generation did it, and now your generation has to do it, in similar fashion. Just it's slightly different. You're prompt engineering and you're learning different tool sets to do this. I think it's always that way. There was a friend who was talking about, he was an architect. And we were in a room. This older architect was talking about the old days where I had to hand draw everything, and I'm my protractor and my thing dang, and this new guy's like, now we got CAD machines and blah blah blah, and they were having this thing back and forth. But everybody's got tools. You've got to learn your tools and be good at them.
And that's what it is. AI is a tool. AI is a tool. And it can help save so much time. It's not always accurate. Like I think folks need to get it's not going to be 1,000% accurate. So you still have to know how to do your homework. Right.
I love how Google, when you search something now, they want to give you the AI result first. And I would say about 50% of the time I'm questioning, I'm giving Google a side eye on that, going, what? Really though? Because I'm going to double check this. It doesn't seem right.
I'm like, stop it. I'm still going to go down here and search these results, just so you know.
I'm not buying that. amalgamation of 3 articles that don't make any sense. It's like, whatever. Yeah. I think I saw a good example of that. It was like, somebody asked Google, is it a good idea to eat rocks? And the Google's like first AI response was, according to like the scientific department at Cal Berkeley, rocks are good for you, minerals are good for you, or something like that.
Yeah,
so I didn't quite get the assignment. Yeah, right. Didn't make the jump.
No.
How easy is it to get started? And for somebody like just starting, like you said, you were kind of in customer engagement, working in customer service in Dynamics. How easy is it now for somebody to get started to start their journey in Power Platform?
So I personally feel like it's a bit easier now than it once was. Before, you had to have a bit of IT knowledge to kind of install on-prem. You had to know what SQL was. And then we had the delineation between techno and functional folks, right? Nowadays, it's literally, you can train somebody on some of these principles that we talk about, and you can jump right in. If you have the money for a premium license, and you're going to pay for a little bit of capacity, it's not going to cost you more to spin it up yourself and get it going.
Yeah.
To sign up for a development trial, it's pretty easy. It's not this large, difficult task to get started into the Power Platform.
Right. So you're not talking about a 4-year education plus an advanced degree. You're spending $80,000.
No, not at all.
Effort, time, money to get here.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I joke, but if I can do it, anybody can. But the truth of the matter is, and I told this, I remember I was talking to Mike Hawk. I never forgot this conversation. I literally call him. I call him every day on a Friday to annoy him to ask, is it worth coming into business apps?
Yeah.
He was right. But I said, Mike, I've taken these courses. It's really hard for me to understand what is the real use case for CRM. Like, I thought just build anything. Like, where do you guys start? He laughed and he said, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Which is a very Mike answer. He gave me a little bit more. He said, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And then I love Mike. So that's
good dude. I just met him this past year. Yeah. Happy to get to know him. Yeah.
Mike's a fun dude.
Yeah.
But he's like, you're going to figure it out. He was very right. The company I was working for, we had a situation pop up, and there was an app that I was able to build, scale down CRM a little bit and build it myself. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's a use case. Oh, wait, there's another use case. Oh, wait. And then you'll start. So you have to kind of look for where you can kind of apply it. And so for new people that are coming into the industry, if you're a business owner, can you do something that helps you track a little bit of inventory? What about something that helps you interact with your customers, right? Like send an email. What if you wanted to track, sentiment? And you have AI capabilities now in that, So there are plenty of opportunities to get in. It's super easy. It's not overly complicated. If you're like, I want to be like that guy, and they point to some of the, giants in our industry, you got to pay your dues a little bit to get to that space, right? Yeah. But to get started, man, it's cake. It's easy. Anybody can do it.
It feels like too, like the prime, candidates are those folks, like you said, are number one, curious. You're in a business already. You own a business. You're in a business, in a department, accounting, supply chain, wherever it is. And it only takes that one little nudge. And then to your point, once you see, like, you can start to marry up, like, man, it'd be cool if I could do this. And now it's like, wait a second, I've got some tools over here. I can do it. And the interesting thing from my, former seat as an IT director and a programmer is that you start to be able to see projects come to light faster, like things that couldn't have made it through my pipeline. Like as an IT department, it's like, we've got a backlog of X number of things that people want to do, and I got a small department. To now, it's like, but if we give them some guidance, some governance, some training, all of a sudden you've broadened your IT department pretty dramatically, and they're putting together maybe these small little things you never would do as an IT project, but they can do them quickly, like create a quick form, a quick flow, a quick page, whatever it is. They're knocking them down, and they're seeing their hurdles. Like, I love these people at businesses that overcome hurdles, and most of the times they're doing them manually. Like, you get a person who's like, "Why are you doing this whole?" Well, I had this problem. This is my workaround. Yeah. Now they maybe have a better, more efficient way to create that knockdown hurdle opportunity.
Yeah, you remember how hard it was to get applications built and developed, and what was the turnaround time to start to completion?
Yeah.
it was a lot of work on top of the regular tasks you had to do as a department. I mean, now you can have your own UI, have the right table spun up in less than 5 minutes. Like, I mean,
Yep.
it's good. It's
Yep.
really good. It's really good.
So
But
any
governance.
tips? Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupt you.
No, I was like, but governance is the key. You mentioned it, so governance has to be in place. So always,
That is, I mean, I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but governance. I mean, just again, dropping back to where I was, and we didn't have Power Apps or anything like that, but people would, like smart, curious folks would use Excel or even Microsoft Access for you old folks. There are people still use that, by the way, but yeah, like
it has its place.
Yeah, it has its place. I would come around and people would say, "Hey, I built this Excel sheet," or worse would be like, Will built this built this spreadsheet and he's gone now. Can you help us with this? Like, I don't know. So there was no governance. They just got, I always encourage people like, hey, Will, if you want to build a spreadsheet, great. Just make sure I know about it and I know how it works so that if you're not here one day, I can help your coworkers with it. So I'll understand what macros you've built. I can deconstruct it a little easier than if I don't know about it. So just always include me. I'd love for your, innovation. I always encourage that, but just want to be a part of the process, have that governance piece in place so that the folks that need to know, because 100%, if Will creates a cool Power page that nobody knows about how it works, then it's going to fall back to the IT department or somebody to try to figure it out at some point if Will is no longer available to help that.
1000%, man. 1000%.
Yeah. I was going to ask you before I so rudely interrupted you. What are some tips for people that are already using it? Like, so you're out there, you're in the mix now, but what would you like, no number, just what are your top tips? Like, one or two, whatever tips that people could think about as they're traversing the Power Platform universe.
Oh my goodness. Top tips.
I'll put some Jeopardy music under this for you, like in post.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, keep an open mind. I really feel like, Microsoft has given us a platform. So there's a million different ways to do something. So, you're going to notice a lot of content out there. And I'm not going to critique said content, but, keep an open mind and look for sources of inspiration. You're going to be the one who's developing these wonderful applications. They not necessarily give you direct steps and direct paths. We kind of want you to be inspiration, but definitely keep an open mind. That's the first thing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get so hyper focused on searching for the specific answer. Look for a creative way of solving a problem. Two, definitely build with business value in mind. What business solution are you developing, right? It's not just accounting for a technical problem, but what business value does it bring? And I would say three is, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So there's a million different ways, like I said, to do it, but you may have a list of options listed out there. Let's kind of focus on that and see which is really the best way for your customers to have a real fully fledged production app.
Yeah.
These principles I kind of preach primarily because, we have so much new technology coming out there at us at light speed. Microsoft has done a great job for the last 2 years getting us prompt and getting us ready for AI and kind of throwing that AI notion down. But as we're on that peak of the hype cycle, not knocking it, you're going to start seeing they're going to continue to make an investment in AI, but you're going to get requests for different improvements and different enhancements and different features. So keep an open mind and be that source of inspiration to kind of fill in those gaps over the next few years. I think those are the tips I would definitely go for.
Those are good, like personal governance tips. Like that's kind of like that kind of next layer down of your own internal governance on just taking what you're seeing, consuming and keeping, like you said, open mind, keeping yourself open to all those principles you just mentioned. I love it. Yeah. You mentioned earlier too, community, and I want to kind of end on that as we start to wrap up here. But just talk a little bit about how you got involved in community. We've got a great community. Everybody I talk to in Dynamics community, and with Microsoft products in particular, we've just built up this. I don't know. It's like an awesome time to be in our product community right now?
So like, here's the fun part about this. Like, so our community is awesome. Like, I came from routing and switching, sysadmin, a development community. But this community is special. So, no secret. I used to steal a good friend of mine's badge to go to these events. His person was such a large character. He didn't need a badge, so it was Ben. I stole Ben's badge, and I would go to these events. And I'm worried that somebody's gonna just ask me an overcomplicated question, or they're gonna scream and say you don't belong here. But that's not what happened. People were like, "Hey, come in, grab this picture. We don't know you, but you're random. Have fun. Hey, have you tried this?" And really, you develop these connections during these community events. And, I looked at everybody as friends before I noticed that they were these huge influential characters in our industry. So like, community for me is near and dear because it's our turn to share. So after 3 or 4 years of being in the community and just kind of just meeting people and getting to know it, it was actually Trisha Sinclair, Trisha, Mike, Chuck, Mark Christie, Ian, and Dion. I'm not going to use Dion's language, but they were all like, I'm getting so much trouble for that. But they pushed me and they were like, "Hey, it's time for you to start, adding or giving something back to the community." Speaking at events, sharing, and you get over that fear of, am I going to get booed or are people going to kick me off? That's not what it's about. So in the community, there's plenty of opportunities I've looked at, and now that I have some time here in this industry, there are plenty of opportunities to give back, whether it's via blogs, whether it's jumping on a podcast, whether it's writing your own feelings and takes on a particular product, whether it's mentoring somebody to do better within their own job. This community is all about empowerment and helping. And so folks like you and Molly, you guys have always made me feel like I was family. So like, I love just being where we are and just making this rock and roll. So yeah.
I'm going to plus what you said about friendship. I mean, everybody I meet, I just kind of start at a level like I'm already friends with you. I don't even know you, but if I operate that way, it can only go upward,
Right.
And it doesn't matter if we speak once a day or once a month or once a year. Right. I just kind of always feel like, and it's been a cool thing about I mentioned earlier, I golf, with friends. These are friends that I've known most of them since first grade. And I'm 57. So that's, 50 years basically of knowing these people. And there's never, we get together, like I said, sometimes it's a couple of years I might not see them. And I just feel like we just, it's like picking back up. And that's the way I feel like this community is. Like I'll see you, or I'll see Ben, or I'll see somebody at an event. Yeah. It's like, hey, it's fun just to, reconnect in that moment and pick it back up and kind of, have that explosion of fun right there and know that's going to happen again, whenever it happens. And that, like you said, there's so many people, like the core group of people in this community traveling around from event to event, from webinar to, like you said, podcast to blog, whatever. They're all over that. They're just open and willing to create an atmosphere that welcomes everybody else in and brings up the next generation. And like you said, shows them, like you were shown, like, here's the way we do it now. Here's the way we uplift. I think that's awesome.
And then here's the fun part too. Like, from a technical perspective, even like we look at our community, if you have a legit concern, no problem reaching out to people. They are there to help you. I mean, I have had hours of conversations with individuals about a technical issue where we'll whiteboard it out and I'm saying, this is where I am and I don't know how to do it. And they will, we'll walk through it together. We got a great community that's about that. You try to find that in the networking space. I guarantee you won't. I've
had around the folks that I know that, like you said, it crossed over a little bit. Like, hey, maybe they're in an ISV where they deal with SAP or Salesforce or other ERPs, other products, and to it, I don't have anybody tell me, there's another community out there like this. They may have events once a year where people get together, but there's no community like this one. With this purpose and this drive and this desire to uplift everybody and like you said, from mentorship all the way to through technical help when you need it, just kind of being wide open to that kind of activity. It's pretty sweet.
I love it. I laugh because some folks who have maybe transitioned from this community to other different offerings, still have their toes in our water and they still keep in contact.
Right, they're still showing up. They're still showing up at our events, like just for their food and camaraderie, which is awesome. I welcome them in too. Like, always.
We're the cool kids at the table, man. Like, that's where we are. This is our table. We love it. Like, this is it. The Super Bowl in a couple weeks is gonna be phenomenal. We're all gonna gain 20 pounds, so it's gonna be great.
Of wings, particularly. Yeah, like what's that bulge in your midsection? Yes, wings. Yeah, wings and beer. Yeah,
that's exactly how it is.
Right over here is this the buffalo sauce zone?
Right, little buffalo barbecue sauce down the trail.
Yeah, it's like this here. Take the buffalo sauce trail down to Wingland, and you can take a dip in the beer pool, and then you're done.
Yeah. By the fourth quarter, you're just like,
It's like, who are you rooting for this weekend?
And I was rooting for the Ravens. So right now I'm out, man. I have nothing. So I guess I'll probably root for Kansas City, because, I gave Taylor Swift so much money last year in concerts. So,
you financed one leg of her Eras tour, alone.
I say I gave her so much money. No.
That's funny.
But I'll probably root for KC, man. I'll probably do that. I'll jump on the bandwagon. And
we probably won't be rooting for KC. I did root for KC though, back when they were kind of started getting good. Again, I like the legacy teams. I wanted to see KC, at least have one return to glory, and they did. But now they don't need three-peats. Cool, man. I appreciate having you on again, Will. As always, looking forward to seeing you in person again, like we talked about. It'll be fun to catch up and do it for real, one-on-one. Yep.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother. Take care.
Take care. Yep. More filters, like add hair filter. I love that. I'm not shitting you, man. I was in a meeting the other day and I noticed that my hair was lining up with the mountain behind me. Like the peak of my hair was like perfectly like and then I was distracted the rest of the meeting. And at the end, it's like, sorry if I looked distracted about midway through. I realized I had three different peaks in my hair and they were all matching with the peaks up here. I was like, get out of here with this nonsense. So I need a hair filter for sure.
Oh my goodness.